So I'm going to be honest with you right off the bat. I'm a little weird, like genuinely. I'm 21, I've never drank, I consider myself to be a Christian, and I've been chasing this whole YouTube and social media thing while most people my age might think that's a little weird. And through all of that, I've had to deal with something that I think honestly affects everybody. Caring way too much what other people think of me. Now you've probably felt this too. Maybe it's your family questioning your decisions, your friends not understanding your choices, or just that constant voice in your head wondering how people are judging you. Because here's the thing, stopping caring what people think sounds simple, but actually doing it, that's a completely different story. So today I'm walking you through what actually helped me get there and what I think can help you too. So before I get into this whole I stopped caring what people think transformation arc, we kind of need to talk about why caring in the first place is actually not completely bad. Because honestly, it sounds like it should be a bad thing, right? Like, don't care what anyone thinks, be a lone wolf, live your truth, all that stuff, be in real life. It's not that simple. Like, imagine you had zero care in the world what anyone thought. That sounds cool for like 5 seconds until you realize you'd be a basic menace. And I'm not trying to be dramatic here. If I had zero awareness of how my actions affected other people, stealing would be easy, lying would be easy, cheating would be easy, even just treating people badly would be easy, like no internal resistance at all. But the reason we don't do those things isn't because we're all walking around with a perfect moral philosophy all the time. It's because somewhere in our brains we're like, yeah, that would hurt somebody. They'd see me differently after that, and we don't want that. So in that sense, caring what people think is actually a good thing. It keeps us human. It keeps us from becoming, well, the worst version of ourselves. But here's where it gets messy. The problem isn't caring, it's over-caring. It's when that voice in your head gets so loud that it starts making your decisions for you. And that can really look normal on the outside. Like maybe you're dating someone and deep down you know they're right for you, but your friends think otherwise, and suddenly you're questioning everything. Or if you want to go down a certain career path, but most people around you are like, be serious, that's not realistic, and now you're second guessing something you actually wanted. Or it can be something as small as sports teams, like you've been a fan of a team your whole life, but your friends hate that team, and you suddenly are getting roasted every time you bring it up, and now you're weirdly defending your team like it's a court case. And yeah, sometimes it's even more dumb stuff like movie opinions, like I think Toy Story 2 is a way better movie than Toy Story 3, sue me, and people act like I've just insulted their entire family bloodline. And obviously those smaller things are funny, but the bigger issue is that if we let the pressure control us in the small decisions, it starts creeping into the big ones too. And the big ones are the things that are going to matter in our life. Who we date, what we do with our life, and the direction we take long term. Those are the decisions you don't want to look back on one day and realize you didn't even make yourself and you regret. Alrighty, so if it's really that simple, just don't care what people think, then why don't we just do that? Well, because we can't. At least most of us can't. We're not wired like that. We're not built like that. As humans, we want connection. We want people to like us. We want to belong. And honestly, we're willing to trade a lot of our own direction just to keep that connection intact, even if it costs things we actually want. And that's why it's not just a simple decision you wake up one day and you make. It's not like flipping a switch like, all right, I'm done caring what people think. New era starts today. I tried that. It didn't work. Even with something as stupid as my movie opinions, I still like Toy Story 2 better than Toy Story 3. And that's the problem. It doesn't just stay as different opinions, it turns into self-doubt really fast. Like, why is my opinion wrong? Why am I wrong? Am I just bad at thinking? And that's for something as meaningless as a Pixar ranking, so you can imagine how quickly that starts affecting bigger stuff. Because now it's not just about movies anymore, it's about life decisions. It's your family saying, hey, just go to college, get a stable business job, do the safe thing, retire comfortably, don't take risks. And on paper, that's not bad advice, it's safe, it makes sense, it's predictable. But then there's this other side of that, it's like, I don't want to be predictable. I want to build something, I want to take risks, I want to be an entrepreneur. Even if it's less stable, even if it's not guaranteed, even if it makes people nervous. Because at the end of the day, you only get one life, and for better or worse, you kind of want to actually live it, not just to optimize it for comfort and approval, and that's where it stops being simple. So obviously, we can't just flip this switch in our head and suddenly stop caring what people think. Like I said, it would be nice, and that would solve like 90% of human anxiety, but it just doesn't work like that. Because we do want human connection, we're wired for it, we want to belong, we want to not feel like we're being left out of the group. So the question becomes, if we can't just stop caring, then what do we do in a practical sense? How do we make decisions that are actually best for us without getting dragged into everyone else's opinion? For me, the first thing is I just need reasons. I need to build a case in my head for why I'm right. Not in a I'm always right and everyone else is wrong kind of way. More like a structured argument, so I'm not just floating around getting hit by every opinion that comes my way, knocking me off my track. Let's take something for relationships, for example, right? Say, for example, you've dated someone and you genuinely believe this is the person you're going to marry. You've thought about it, you lived it, you've experienced it, you're confident in it. But then your family and friends don't agree. They're pushing back, they're questioning it. Maybe they think you're moving too fast, or maybe they just don't see it how you see it. So what do? Well, first thing, you actually pause and ask, are they right about anything? Because this is where a lot of people mess up. They immediately go into the defense mode like, nope, I'm right, everyone else is stupid, and that's not it. You have to be honest enough to say, is there anything they're pointing out that I haven't considered yet? And if there is, you take it seriously. You don't ignore it just because it's inconvenient, but let's say you do that. You actually think it through, you weigh the pros and cons, you're honest with yourself, and after all that, you still land on, yeah, this is the person I want to be with. Now you don't just have a feeling anymore, you have reasoning. So then I like to break that down into something simple and almost boring, but it works. What do you actually need in a long-term relationship? Communication, trust, attraction, shared values, someone who respects you, who you actually want to be around and fits into your life direction. So instead of letting other people's opinions toss you around in your head, you just go down the list and ask, does this person actually check my boxes? Not does everyone approve of them, but does this actually work for me and for that other person? And what you'll usually find is one of two things. Either, yeah, you've already thought this through and you're not crazy, or actually I missed something important and other people had a point. And either outcome is useful. The goal isn't to blindly justify yourself, the goal is to create clarity. Most of the time you're not looking for permission, you're just trying to make sure you're not missing something obvious. And once you've done that, you can stand on your decision a lot more confidently. And this goes for anything outside of relationships as well. Because now it's not just emotion, it's not just what other people are saying, it's something you've actually broken down and examined. But there's a second part to this that matters just as much. You need people in your life who actually understand you and your context. Because one of the hardest things about advice is that not all advice is equal. Some people care about you but don't actually know your full situation. Like for me, I went off to college. I still cared about my family's opinion. I still do. I respect it. I value it. But at the same time, they don't always see the day-to-day version of me anymore. They don't see how I've changed, what I've learned and built into. And the same goes for high school friends. They knew who I was from 0 to 18, but you're not that version of yourself anymore, and I'm not that version of myself. So sometimes the people who actually understand what's best for me right now are the people who are in my current stage of life. The ones who see what I'm doing every day, not just who I used to be. And that doesn't mean my family or my old friends are irrelevant, not at all. It just means I have to balance the advice and relevance, not just closeness. Because someone can love me deeply and still not understand the decisions I'm making. And if you're confident in your direction, you're usually going to find at least a couple people, maybe even just one person who gets it, who sees what you see, who supports it, even if others don't. And honestly, that's enough. Even if it's just one person, that could completely change how grounded you feel in your decisions you're going to make. For example, I've had situations where I've chosen not to do certain things like drinking in college, and some people fully understood that. They were on the same page. And other people don't get it at all. They thought it was weird or unnecessary, or they just don't understand why. I'm still friends with those people, but it was nice to have the ones that understood me more. And sometimes that's all you need to stay grounded. Because at the end of the day, stopping caring what other people think isn't about shutting everyone out. It's about learning who to listen to, how to think clearly for yourself, and how to stand on your own decisions without needing universal approval. And once you can do that, you don't stop caring, you just stop letting it control you. And honestly, all of that's really hard. Like I can sit here and break it down logically, I can talk through stages, I can explain it in a way that makes it sound organized, but at the end of the day, there's still a moment where you have to just do it. Because I can completely agree with the idea that you can't just stop caring what people think. That's not realistic. I'm never going to wake up one day and be like, yeah, I hope everyone dislikes everything I do and I feel nothing about it. It's not how humans work. You're always going to care a little bit, even for the smallest, dumbest things. I still care about what people think. Toy Story 3 is not better than Toy Story 2. And I think that everybody who thinks the other way is wrong. And I wish people saw it the way I saw it. And again, that's such a stupid example, but it proves the point. That feeling doesn't fully go away ever, even for the dumb things. It just doesn't. And it's the same thing with bigger stuff too. Like for me, I don't drink, and I still sometimes wish people understood that better. I still wish it didn't come with the weird reactions or the weird judgment or the you need to just try drinking. I still care about that, but at a certain point, you just have to let it be what it is. People might not get it. People might not care. And that used to bother me more than it does now. Because this shift isn't about when I stopped caring entirely. It's that I stopped letting it decide my actions. That's the difference. You're always going to have that part of you that goes, man, I wish people saw this the way I see it. Or I wish they agreed with me on this one. Or I wish this made more sense to them. That never fully disappears. But what you can control is whether that voice gets to steer your life. And that's the important part. See, if you're dating someone and your parents don't approve, or you're choosing a career path and your friends don't understand, or you're doing something that that just doesn't make sense to other people around you, at some point in your life, you're just gonna have to go, this is my life. You can think it through. You can back it up with logic. You can check your reasoning. You can talk to people who actually understand all that matters. But eventually there's gonna be a moment where you have to stop analyzing and start living. And that is the uncomfortable part. I understand that. There's no perfect confidence level when you feel 100% ready. And nobody disagrees and everything makes sense to everyone. That just doesn't exist. So you just go. And yeah, sometimes people won't like it. Sometimes they won't understand. Sometimes they'll disagree. But over time, you'll figure things out. You'll learn, you'll adjust, you'll grow into your decisions. And most of the times, it ends up being okay. More than okay. So no, it's not simple. And no, it's not clean. And no, you don't just stop caring. But you do learn how to move anyways. Even while you care a little, even while it's uncomfortable, you just go. And it's really that simple. But now that you understand how to stop letting other people's opinions control your decisions, there's a set of simple daily habits that build the kind of genuine happiness that makes you care even less about outside opinions. So check out this video where I reveal 5 simple habits that will make you happier. Because learning to ignore the noise is just the first step.